Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 21st of August, comes to you from London. And the dollar index is just sitting relatively flat. It did recover on Wednesday and was flat yesterday, just recovering back some of that ground yesterday. So we are still in short-term bullish territory, but the medium and long-term picture is not so good. Remembering this is my long-term, medium-term and short-term view, weekly, daily and 60-minute, and the corresponding point and figure charts with downside targets. We've got a downside target of 5% still activated. This new upside target short-term not yet activated. Looking at the euro, we're sitting at 118.13. We've come back from that sort of 119 level, trying to get to that 120 but just couldn't make it. So we are short-term bearish against the dollar there, and against the dollar yen rate we're sitting at 105.61. So having sat at 107 for a long time, we are just now sinking lower. Sterling sitting at 131.64, recovered a little bit yesterday, but just falling away this morning on news of this record 2 trillion debt in the UK. Against the euro, sterling is actually looking a bit stronger there, so that's quite interesting. Bitcoin sitting at $11,795, so still short-term bearish, medium and long-term bullish. Just can't hold that $12,000 mark. The S&P 500 index was up 0.3% yesterday, so still looking pretty bullish. Teetering on this resistance level, just breaking it slightly, but not convincingly enough yet. And if we look at the Nasdaq, it continues to just make new highs, so looking very strong there. The Dow was up 0.17%, and I'm looking at the futures today. We see the S&P future is down slightly, and the Nasdaq E-mini future is up slightly. So it's looking like a flat opening for the US market today. The VIX volatility is up very slightly, but we're sitting at 2280, still gradually sinking lower, which is good news for stocks. No sign yet of that ticking up, although the short-term chart we are just seeing a little bit of a rise, but we don't really have any convincing targets, so nothing to worry about yet in terms of the markets. Lots of news flow to worry about, of course, but the charts are not really causing any feel of concern. The FTSE future in the UK is up 0.1%, and the DAX cash is up 0.4%. So Europe's recovering a little bit after a fall away yesterday, and the CAC 40 is up 0.3%. Despite the fact that France is reporting higher COVID cases, we are seeing the markets actually still shaking that off. The Japanese market was up 0.3%. The Hang Seng was up 1.3%, so that was a stronger showing. Still bearish in the long-term trend, of course. And if we look at Chinese stocks, they're up 0.5%. So that's still holding on to bullish on all three time frames and just edging to making new highs, a little bit like a triangle breakout there. Looking at the Sensex in India, we're up 0.5%, just starting to get the lagging line on the weekly chart above the clouds, so that's looking better, and we have got quite good upside targets for India. And if we look at the the Aussie market, we're down very slightly. Still has a lot of work to do to get back to bullish, so a very different picture there with that resource-laden index, of course. Gold is sitting at 1934, so we are in short-term bearish territory. It will be key to see that we hold these lows that we've set recently. No clear downside targets on the short-term chart, and this medium term we've got an upside and a downside. It'd be interesting to see which one plays out there. Silver sitting at $27 and looking still pretty bullish, although we are just seeing a little bit of a pullback there, like gold. No surprises there. US 10-year yields just sinking slightly lower, sitting at 0.64%. So we are bearish there on all three time frames. So that is interesting. Yield on 10-year bonds in the US still edging lower, and not really certain that we saw that low point is actually the low point. We've got downside targets to 0.62, so that's another 3-4% lower. Looking at the energy mix today, a very strange week. We are pretty much red all over the screen there. We see Brent crude back below that $45 mark. We've been really sticking to $45 this week like glue. We did see this big push down yesterday and then a push back up, what we'd call in point and figure terms a low pole. That has then given us a new upside target to 46.50. but at the moment it's a loan target. We have another one here, 46.75, but we really do need to see us breaking this 45.50 level to be convinced. So we really are in a pretty tight range all week, and we were neutral this week on crude, primarily because we couldn't call which way it would go, and that's pretty much where we've ended. US nat gas is actually falling back a bit. It held on to that 240 level for quite a while there, but we do have targets to 225. That looks like where we could go, so another 10 cents lower for US nat gas potentially, but the long-term breakout is really there now to you can't dispute that. Looking at coal, we're just sinking lower. We've got a new target of $50.92. Does look like that's where we're headed now. This is a failed recovery in coal prices, so quite key there. Emissions also just pulling back to this 25 euro mark. We do have these upside targets still in train. They will be negated if we fall below 25 euros. So 25 euros is a very critical level for emissions and what we need to keep an eye out for. Looking at MBP, we're down 4.6% this morning, and so we're just coming back. We're still holding on to the gains though, and bullish on this short-term chart, and the longer-term trend on the daily is still there. And looking at TTF front month, we're sitting at €7.63. Again, just holding on, but we do have some downside targets here kicking in, so that's quite key. Looking at winter gas, we're sitting at €12.20 at the moment, and again, holding on to that bull trend quite convincingly. Looks much better than the front month trend actually, and of course we were making new multi-month highs this week, so that's still pretty important. German power can't hold that 40 euro mark, and we are just now quite falling back towards support here. We've got targets of 38.50, 38.15. 38.70 is really the 38.60 is really the level, and 40.70. That's the range we're stuck in. And until we break that range, it's pretty hard to call. That's it for today and for the week. See you on Monday. Happy charting. Have a great weekend. See you then.